Apparently I'm too tall for the mic, which I'm fine with. The guests from all over the planet. My name is Inga Kristjánsdóttir, and I'm the president of Sidmennt, the Icelandic Ethical Humanist Association. Just to tell you a little bit about me. I'm a 33-year-old project manager, feminist, and a mother to a soon-to-be 1-year-old. I've been a scout since I was 11, and through scouting I have taught children to tie knots for over a decade. Now I help couples to tie their knots. As a humanist wedding celebrant, which I'm sure some of you know is the greatest job in the world. 5 weeks ago, I was elected by our members as the president of Sidmennt, an honor that I'm extremely thankful for. In the 30 years history of our association, Sidmennt has gone from being a small group of parents who had the courage to deviate from the norm and offer a confirmation course for the children free from religion or creed, to an organization of more than 3,000 people and the 7th largest religious or lifestyle organization in the country. We're an important part of Icelandic society. Around 30% of 14-year-old children choose our secular alternative to the very strong tradition of Christian confirmations, and over 250 couples chose to get married in a humanist way last year. Along our service to people who want to commemorate important events in their lives in a meaningful humanist way, we are also an active force in the fight for religious freedom in Iceland. On top of that, we aim to serve as a platform for dialogue on ethics and humanist values, and that is why we're gathered here today. Is it better? Yeah. I'll use my celebrant. The objective of this conference is to look into what the ethical questions of the 21st century are, which is of course a complex topic that cannot be answered in the course of a simple day. We could have chosen very on-topic subjects for this century, such as whether it's okay to eavesdrop on my 6-year-old without a Swatch, or whether it's ethically okay to listen to an artist that is also a sex offender. But we chose to pick subjects that are broader and global. We chose to pick subjects that have been on and off, constant in the world as we know it, but we want to look at it with the glasses of a critical thinker in the 21st century. These 4 topics are the environment, refugees, economic injustice, and democracy. We have excellent speakers who will hopefully enlighten us by diving into their respective fields, which will of course spark even more questions that might be answered today, tonight over dinner, or require more in-depth attention in the next weeks or years. Before we delve into our dialogue, I want to leave you with the first principle of the Amsterdam Declaration that was unanimously passed at the World Humanist Congress in 2002. Humanism is ethical. It affirms the worth, dignity, and autonomy of the individual and the right of every human being to the greatest possible freedom compatible with the rights of others. Humanists have a duty of care to all of humanity, including future generations. Humanists believe that morality is an intrinsic part of human nature based on an understanding and a concern for others, needing no external sanction. And now, we are very honored to invite to the stage one of the most renowned historians of Iceland. A man who bicycles with his children to school in my wonderful hometown of Álftanes. Well, been there, right? Great place. One shop, no gas station. A man who goes out blogging during weekends, which is a Swedish fitness craze that combines exercise and picking up litter. A man who shares my hatred for pineapple on pizza. A man who has written numerous books on modern Icelandic history, including works about the Cod Wars, not the Cold Wars, but the Cod Wars. Very important part of Icelandic history. The Icelandic presidency, a book about spying in Iceland, and a book about the 2008 banking collapse. But mostly now writes history as one of the most popular head of states since founding of this republic. I'm of course talking about the President of Iceland, Mr. Guðni Jóhannesson. Welcome, Guðni.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for this kind introduction. I will just use my teacher's voice. I recognize this room from my previous life. I'm an academic, a historian, a professor at the University of Iceland. I managed 1 month as tenured professor. I spent decades climbing, years of part-time teaching, pitiful salary, and heavy workload, and then assistant professor, associate professor, and then 1 month, 1 month tenured professor, and then this happened to me. Now I hope you're all of those who have come from afar are enjoying the stay in Iceland. Well, I actually hope the Icelanders also are enjoying the stay in Iceland. But if not, let me know, and measures will be taken. I am afraid that I cannot be with you here today. By way of the introduction, it gives me my alibi. I have to, truth be told, that's always the best way out. I have to, and I want to, and I'm looking forward to attending a football tournament with one of my sons. We've already started this tournament. They won the first match, good for them. Also, the other team played well as well. So I'll be dashing off there, and you will hear actually in my talk, in my prepared talk, where I will also have later today. So here is what I have to say to the good gathering here. So, now we begin. Ladies and gentlemen, the film Being There tells the story of a simple gardener named Chance, played by Peter Sellers. By a series of coincidences, Chance finds himself in the limelight, the center of attention. Yes, asserts Chance sincerely, there will be growth in the spring. First comes spring and summer, but then we have fall and winter. And then we get spring and summer again. Yes, the gardener certainly knows what he's talking about. As long as the roots are not severed, all is well, and all will be well in the garden, he goes on. The story of the film is that everything Chance says is meant literally. In his innocence, he points out simple truths about how to cultivate one's garden, while others read different and deeper meanings into his words. All at once, he is perceived as having all answers to complex questions, answers which are deemed to be brilliantly clever. But those who praise him for his wisdom are two-faced. They have no intention of following his good advice about watering their garden and taking care of delicate blooms in the flora of life. This charming tale fixed itself in my memory as soon as I first saw the film. And let's not go into the details here, but he was in the movie, he became a serious candidate for presidency in his home country. That's not part of what I wanted to tell you. So I thank you for giving me the opportunity to address this excellent gathering. That would hardly have happened had I not been elected president. And in order for that to happen, a series of events, coincidences even, were required. But here I am to open your discussions on the ethical questions of our time. The emphasis is on the perils of climate change, the problems facing refugees, economic injustice in the world, and finally, democracy. These are all urgent issues, and I hope that those attending the conference will, at the end of the day, be filled with hope. But that hope must be based on rational argument and realism. and not on blind faith, not a hope that is grounded in deceptions by oneself or others. I want to say a few more words about hope and faith, society and religion. For here I am to discuss ethical challenges, and here I am invited by the ethical humanists who place emphasis on ethical values and a search for enlightenment without reference to supernatural phenomena. In addition, it should be pointed out that our hosts, your hosts, my hosts, the ethical humanists of Iceland, favor the separation of church and state. They are against the custom that members of parliament are meant to attend church service at the cathedral next door when their assembly convenes in the fall. And they are even more opposed to the article in the Constitution which affirms that the evangelical Lutheran Church shall be the state church of Iceland, the established church, which the government is committed to support and protect. That same Constitution protects and ensures religious freedom. Here in Iceland, the people should be able to practice their religion, or no religion. Equality, diversity, and freedom are safeguarded by our fundamental laws. Everyone shall be equal before the law, states the Constitution, and enjoy human rights irrespective of sex, religion, opinion, national origin, race, color, property, birth, or other status. These rights are guaranteed to citizens of Iceland, despite the constitutional provisions for a state church and government support. It is not surprising that this arrangement has attracted attention. And in fact, it is only right that people should debate the advantages or disadvantages of this state of affairs. In that light, informed and open-minded debate is all to the good. That seems to be as much truth as Chance's musings in being there. And I don't feel that I'm sharing any profound insights here. It is simply obvious, just as that summer follows the spring. So, dear guests, the website of this conference refers to a video about the beauty of Iceland and the splendid people who live here, smiling and happy in all their freedom and diversity. And there we also see that in Iceland the weather is always good. Sunny and warm. The video, inspired by Iceland, commences at Þingvellir, the beating heart of our history and culture, hallowed ground for the Icelandic nation, site of memory, as the scholars call it. At Þingvellir, a little over 1,000 years ago, faith was hotly debated. The chieftains who attended Alþingi, the National Assembly at Þingvellir, formed broadly two factions. On one hand, the heathens, who wished to continue to worship the Old Norse gods, Odin and Thor, Freyja and Frigg, and all the rest of the pantheon. On the other, the followers of the new religion, of the white Christ and Christianity, which was rapidly spreading throughout Europe. The religious standoff grew heated and came close to sparking armed conflict all over the country. The story goes that a volcano erupted near Þingvellir at the time, and a lava flow threatened the home of one of the Christian chieftains. The heathens took this as a sign that their gods were angry. But one of those who had already been baptized conclusively rebutted such ideas. A person of the Enlightenment before his time, we can say. To the armed men standing at Þingvellir on age-old lava fields, he spoke these wise words. All right, so what angered the gods when the lava flowed on which we now stand? We in Iceland still learn this at school, or I did at least. And we also learned about the solution which the National Assembly accepted in preference to bloodshed at Thingvellir. And it now seems advisable to me, said the law speaker, that we should not allow those to prevail who most wish to oppose each other. Let us compromise between them, so that each side has its own way in something, and let us all have the same laws and the same religion. It is so that if we sunder the law, we shall also sunder the peace. And slowly but surely, all traces of heathenism were eliminated from public life. It does not even survive the names of days in Icelandic, unlike English, with its Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, referencing Tyr, Odin, Thor, and Freyr. You know, Thursday is day of Tyr. It's just thriðji dagur in Icelandic, the third day. How pathetic is that? Now, the 20th century, however, saw a reawakening, and the Ásatrú Fellowship was founded, in which more than 4,000 people find a suitable place for their philosophy. Peace with God and folk, as we say in Icelandic. Christian denominations are also many and various, unlike the situation in past centuries, before and after the Reformation. And about 1,000 people are registered as members of Muslim groups, a few more as Buddhists, and so on. Yes, values and laws have changed since the year 999 or 1000, when Christianity was officially adopted as the Icelandic religion. We must accept, this is the historian and academic in me. I know politicians and statespersons hate, doubt about perfect dates. We want to have the settlement of Iceland starting in 874 and the adoption of Christianity in the year 1000. 1000 rings better than 999. But we academics, we love our doubts. We love, making a simple issue complex. So we must accept that the sources do not indicate beyond doubt the year of the momentous event. And this was first pointed out by the archaeologist Ólafía Einarsdóttir. So, but equally important, if not more, today the principle is that we shall have the same laws for all, certainly, but many faiths. And the lesson of this story is also that the religion of one or of many cannot be the premise of legislation that is to apply to all. Faith does not transcend the law of the land. And we must continue to live together in a country where the rule of law applies, a state based on a secular foundation. So, ladies and gentlemen, have simple answers been given here to simple basic principles? Is all our life so simple, so obvious as that summer follows springs and that plants die if uprooted? The website of this conference, I already mentioned, it includes a picture which refers to the Inspired by Iceland video. It is a photo taken from the tower of the largest church in Iceland. That's good for the Humanist Association. And in the video itself, you can also see at least 3 churches. I did not count, I did not put my academic clothes on, but I'm sure at least 3 churches in that beautiful video of the happy Icelanders running around in eternal sunshine. The Christian churches I can see from my residence at Bessastaðir number at least 10. Our past and our present, our culture and existence are bound up with the Christian religion. The history of Christianity in Iceland is, yes, sometimes a tale of cruelty and power, but it is also a story of artistic and literary achievements, a story of compassion and kindness. In Iceland's churches, the gospel of tolerance and broad-mindedness can be heard. Within Iceland's religious groups, allies are to be found in the battle that must be fought on the ethical questions of our time. Those questions which are to be discussed here today. Finally, let me mention another film of which I have sometimes thought since I have been in office. Zelig, one of Woody Allen's best films, tells of Leonard Zelig, who is so desperate to please everyone, but he not only agrees with everyone he meets, but actually takes on their appearance. He never says anything that could offend anyone at that moment. So, Zelig would certainly be cautious in some circles about citing Woody Allen in view of all the allegations that have been made against him. On the other hand, Zelig would have no problem fitting in here today. So, dear guests, at this conference held by Sidmennt, the Icelandic Ethical Humanist Association, later today, I will have the pleasure of opening an exhibition about the history of the Carmelite convent in Hafnarfjörður, where I shall recall their prayer and selfless work for the least fortunate in society, and even the need of so many in an enlightened and free society for a faith, conviction, or hope about some kind of life after this one, about being reunited with lost loved ones, and rejecting the idea that we just live and die like any plant in a garden. And tomorrow is Sidmennt's Day, where I shall visit the Fossvogur churchyard, where we commemorate those who have gone to a watery grave over the centuries. Following that ceremony, a mass will be held in Reykjavik Cathedral to mark Sidmennt's Day. At such events, it is fitting to recall the oldest known Sidmennt's prayer in Icelandic, which dates from pre-Reformation time under the Catholic Church, the church to which I once belonged. It was the rod and staff of those who risked their lives on the stormy deep. And it starts like this: God, Father, Son, and Holy Ghost, see and bless all persons, young and old, cargo and boards. And you know, it is also the teasing part of me who wanted to say God, Father, Son, and Holy Ghost at this. Please forgive it. I wish you all the best at this conference on ethical questions of our time, and that of future generations. Great challenges lie in store for us, but that is not news. Nor is it news that without hope and purpose, freedom and kindness, the future will be dark and of no benefit to anyone. Thank you very much.